Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you. I hope everybody's week is going well so far. This is video 1 of 3. We are talking about Frogmore Cottage because Megan, as it turns out, felt tricked after being given this 5,000 square foot 8-bedroom home. Let's jump in and cover it, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off talking about Frogmore Cottage because a royal commentator said that Megan felt tricked by it. Now, this woman, Miss Griffiths, said, because let's be honest, Harry just said he's no longer a UK resident. Now, remember, when Harry and Meghan first got married, they were living in Nottingham Cottage, which was on palace grounds. It was a little tiny cottage. However, William lived there with Catherine before they were married and after they were married, and they were there with George as well. So they tried to make it seem like it was so tiny and they could barely fit into it, and they had to have something. And so I think Meghan cast her eye around and she saw how the Queen's children, not grandchildren, children were living. Let's also not forget at this time they were in this cottage because the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester had moved out of their apartments at the palace right next to William and Catherine, and they were being renovated for Harry and Meghan. Remember that. So what are the other properties that Meghan saw within the family that created an issue? Well, let's just take a quick look at that, shall we? Sophie and Edward live at a country estate called Bagshot Park in Surrey. This house is very grand. It has 120 rooms. It's worth about £30 million or $50 million. They've lived here since 1999 when they got married. This is the house that was given to them by the Queen. And it sits, in Great Windsor Park, which is 30 miles from London. And they have a private lake and stables and all of that stuff. Andrew and Sarah were grifted the Royal Lodge, which is also in Great Windsor Great Park in Berkshire. They are literally 3.2 miles away from Windsor Castle. This is smaller than Sophie and Edward's. It is only 30 rooms. And but it's a beautiful house, and he's been there since 2004, I believe. Now, Anne and her husband live at Gatecombe Park, which is a private country home, and it sits a few miles from Highgrove, which we know is where King Charles' home is. It's set on 730 acres of parkland. And this house was purchased for her and her first husband by Queen Elizabeth, and after the divorce, the husband moved out and the new husband moved in, and it is a working farm, So Meghan saw, now remember, these are the children of the monarch, but I think Meghan saw these houses and this is how she wanted to live. So she requested to live in Windsor Castle. The only people who had a residence in Windsor Castle at that time was Queen Elizabeth and Philip. And the Queen thought it was extremely inappropriate for her to want to live in the castle. And so she decided to gift them something different. The story goes that Meghan and Harry asked if living quarters could be made available after their marriage, and the Queen said no, that would be very inappropriately, and she politely but firmly suggested they take over Frogmore. I think when Queen Elizabeth said Frogmore, this is what Meghan thought they were getting. This is Frogmore House, and it's huge. This house stands in the home park of Windsor Castle. It's absolutely beautiful. It has 33 acres of private gardens, which is managed by the Crown Estate, and has been a royal retreat for over 300 years. But that's not what Meghan and Harry got. Instead, they got Frogmore Cottage, and the Queen had hoped that they would enjoy Frogmore Cottage. She had it completely renovated top to bottom for them. Just as an FYI, $2.8 million was spent renovating it, and it came from the sovereign grant. But after they stepped back, they were asked to repay the monies because They originally were using the building for offices, and so they had to do rewiring, floor replacements, new water, new gas main installations. All of this was done to turn it into a 5 to 8 bedroom residence. It had special flooring, beautiful fireplaces, a Gone with the Wind double staircase. It's just a beautiful house, but it wasn't what Megan wanted. This picture above is Frogmore House in 1872. And Abdul Karim, who was from India, lived in that house while he worked for the Queen. This picture above shows him with Queen Victoria at Frogmore in 1893. Queen Charlotte's unmarried daughters also lived in Frogmore for a little bit of time. And in 1925 until 1934, the home was used by Grand Duchess Xenia, that's her on the right, the sister of Tsar Nicholas, and she was one of the few members of the Russian royal family to escape the Bolsheviks. We only have a few pictures that were put up by Netflix of the inside of Frogmore Cottage. It was beautifully renovated. It was widely reported that Megan picked the colors, she picked the fixtures and the furnishings, and she picked, everything. As a matter of fact, they went above and beyond a lot of the money of the sovereign grant. That's the money that they were asked to pay back when they left the royal family. It's like, we gave you a certain amount for renovation. You wanted more than that, so now you have to pay back the difference. And of course, we found out later on that when Harry and Meghan paid the difference back, they made a deal with King Charles. They no longer had to pay rent. So they claimed Frogmore as their UK residence and had not paid a dime of rent on it in over a year. We also know that their lease ran out and King Charles decided not to renew the lease with them. That's another reason they were thrown out of the cottage. I also want to add that Harry and Meghan were told no cameras on royal property, and yet they brought Meeson Harriman into Frogmore to take all these different pictures of them laughing, crying, blah, 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 so that they could use it in the Netflix docuseries, which is, by the way, one of the reasons why you don't have any pictures of them with the royals at the Platinum Jubilee. They weren't going to allow themselves to be pulled into the docuseries. So the point is, she saw the way the Queen's children were living. She saw this. She saw this. She saw this. She wanted this. And only got this. Only 5,000 square feet, 8 bedrooms. And that's why she felt tricked. Oh, all right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and follow me over to video number 2.